Last week, I put up a review of what is considered to be the greatest Marx Brothers movie, Duck Soup. Without rehashing that video, I'll say I really like the movie and appreciate the Marx Brothers by reputation, but I did not give them enough credit for their contributions, skills, or lasting impact. I would like to remedy that. I appreciate those of you who reached out, especially the ones who did it respectfully. You were heard and you are correct. This comedy team deserved a lot more than my relatively uneducated assessment of one of their greatest projects. Since then, I have devoured everything I could about the Marx Brothers and spent a lot of time researching, taking notes, fact-checking, and further researching these iconic brothers. The Marx Brothers is a name familiar to virtually all movie fans. They were 5 actual brothers. These men are still icons of American entertainment, comedy, and pop culture, despite their most recent movie being from 1949. Not only did they establish what comedy in movies could be, they are the embodiment of the American dream, as they were born to a struggling immigrant family and became wealthy superstars. These talented brothers were born to Jewish immigrants in New York City. Simon, Sam Marx, the patriarch of the family, was a tailor by trade. He was born in Alsace, France, and ventured to America, like many in the 1800s, looking for a better life in the land of opportunity. He worked steadily in his trade, but the Marx family's finances were never stable, not until the Marx Brothers took off. But we'll get there in due course. Minnie Schonberg Marx, the matriarch of the family, was the engine behind the son's eventual success. She was born in Dornum, Germany, to a family with ties to the world of performing. Her brother, Alcian, was one half of a vaudeville act that was very popular in its day, Gallagher and Sheehan, or Sheen. Sorry about my pronunciation on any foreign words and a lot of English words. It was Minnie that saw the musical and comedic talents in her sons and pushed them to pursue this line of work. She even managed their careers in the early days. It looked like there were many times when the Marx Brothers would not exactly make it, and she pushed them to keep going, keep doing their thing, despite the odds that felt stacked against them. The 7 members of the Marx family lived in the Yorkville neighborhood of Manhattan. This area was primarily populated by immigrants. The area was described as culturally rich but economically poor. The environment made an uncomfortable upbringing, but the kind that forged creativity and talent in those with the right temperament. The flavor of their act was born here. Sharp satire with underdog sensibilities. Having their mother as manager meant her role was way more than a traditional manager. She was able to also flex her muscles as their mom and instill discipline while still encouraging creativity and skill development. Simon worked hard as a tailor to give his wife the time and opportunity to help the boys' careers flourish. Later in their career, Zeppo would take on a lot of the Marx Brothers' business affairs. In order of their birth, the infamous Marx Brothers are Leonard Marx. You know him as Chico. He was born March 22, 1887. He would become known for his Italian-accented character. Adolf, or Arthur Marx, would be known as Harpo. He was born November 23, 1888. I did check to see if Harpo changed his name from Adolf to Arthur when Hitler rose to power. Apparently, that's an urban myth. His name was changed years before Adolf Hitler was widely known. The leading theories came down to a simple personal preference, maybe to sound less German at the outset of World War I, or to avoid confusion with a prominent showbiz lawyer at the time named Adolf Marx, with Marx being spelled with a K-S rather than the Marx Brothers spelling it with an X. Harpo was the quiet one in the group. He would play a silent, almost mime-like character. Julius Henry Marx would be known as Groucho. He was born October 2, 1890. Groucho, my favorite of the bunch, developed a character with a sharp tongue, quick wit, and an endless supply of wisecracks. Milton Marx, the least known Marx brother, went by Gummo as his stage name. He was born October 23, 1892. He would ultimately leave the group early in their development to serve in the United States military, and when his time with the armed forces was done, he went into various business ventures instead of rejoining the troupe. Gummo performed with the brothers in their vaudeville days, but he left before they made the jump to film, and didn't fully develop a specific character in that time. Herbert Marx, known as Zeppo, was born February 25, 1901. The youngest brother took on the role of straight man in the movies, reacting to the more wild comedy stylings of his brothers. This by no means made him less funny. We all know the Marx Brothers for their performances on the silver screen, but they started on the stage. Vaudeville was very popular in their early days. Their first act of note is The Four Nightingales. This focused primarily on their musical performances. The brothers, born performers, each brought a unique flair to their musical performances. Chico was a brilliant pianist. His technical ability with the instrument was punctuated with a piano-playing style known as shooting the keys, where he would get very physical while playing. Quick, exaggerated movements caught the imagination of the audiences who would see it happen live. His Italian character was born here on the stage. He would perform mischievous schemes amongst the music, which people loved. Harpo may have been the most talented musician of them all. He learned to play 6 different instruments. He had particular skill and love for the harp, hence the nickname. He would provide the shows with musical interludes and contrast the harmonious sounds of the harp with a relatively wild stage persona. The childlike, silent character he would play in the movies started on the stages as well. Groucho played the guitar. Apparently he wasn't quite as talented as Chico or Harpo on their respective instruments, but he could do the job. He provided the vocals of comedic songs done in a sardonic style that would become very familiar to comedy fans in time. He also took control of the room with his wit and style of humor. This wouldn't just be his movie persona, but also served as the backbone of the Marx Brothers performances on and off camera. Gummo originally rounded out the troupe. He didn't have a specific role as the other 3 we just talked about, but he was reasonably talented across the board, so he could fill in gaps and provide backup vocals. Gummo never thought he was as talented as his brothers, and that influenced his decision to move on to other things. Zeppo stood into the jack-of-all-trades role that Gummo once occupied. Like his brothers, Zeppo's straight man character was born on the stage. His reactions punched up his brothers' jokes, giving them the spotlight. Audiences often underestimated his comedic timing and how important his contribution to the work truly was. Their musical performances always had a comedic flair. The legitimately good music combined with solid comedy was the perfect combination for the vaudeville audience. Their sketches would parody societal norms, make fun of the figures and institutions of authority, and laugh at the absurdities of human behavior. These are all still mainstays in the world of comedy. I see this as stand-up comedy before it was known as stand-up comedy. By the 1920s, the Marx Brothers were one of the most popular acts running on vaudeville. The popularity allowed them to transition to Broadway. The true potential for their comedy came to light when a musical performance was interrupted. Instead of an awkward silence or dead air, Groucho took command of the situation and started ad-libbing jokes. The audience couldn't get enough, and the response had the Marx family shift their performance to be primarily based on comedy. One particularly important Broadway show the Marx Brothers were involved in was called The Coconuts. This was important because it would be adapted to their first film, which debuted in 1929. Robert Fleury and Joseph Saintly co-directed. Fleury was also a French immigrant. He's known for his visual contributions to Hollywood. Prior to the Marx Brothers film debut, he directed experimental films that were noted for their visual stylings and technical expertise. Saintly was an American director and actor. He brought his background in musical theater into the Coconuts. He wanted to be sure that the conversion of the Marx Brothers from stage to screen would keep all of the energy and comedy that the audiences would feel in the room when it was happening live. At the time of their debut, sound was relatively new for movies. They were still called talkies at this time. The Marx Brothers demonstrated how sound could enhance comedy. As a contrast, another classic comedy superstar, Charlie Chaplin, resisted talkies for a while, thinking that having the infamous tramp character talk could ruin him. Over the course of their career, they would make 13 movies. 13 movies would cement the Marx Brothers in pop culture and movie history forever. 1929's The Coconuts is a satire of the Florida land boom, where Groucho's hotel is the site of chaotic land auctions and a jewel heist. 1930's Animal Crackers sees Groucho Marx disrupting a high society party with wild antics that culminate in the search for a stolen painting. 1931's Monkey Business finds the brothers stowing away on a ship and causing havoc as they try to evade authorities and gangsters. 1932's Horse Feathers has Groucho as a college president that leads to a farce of a football game and romantic entanglement with Thelma Todd. Todd was a talented actress with a huge amount of roles on her resume. She was also in Monkey Business from the year before this one. 1933's Duck Soup, considered their best movie by many best of movie lists and critics. This political satire sees two fictional fictional nations go to war with each other. Coming out during the Great Depression, audiences loved seeing politicians be taken down a few pegs by the brothers. 1935's A Night at the Opera is the only one of their movies that I've been seen give Duck Soup a run for its money on being the best of the Marx Brothers movies. The brothers infiltrate the world of the opera to help two young lovers and disrupt the stuck-up high society in attendance. 1937's A Day at the Races finds the brothers saving a sanitarium by winning a crucial horse race. 1938's Room Service has the brothers trying to put on a play with no money, leading to chaos. 1939's At the Circus follows the brothers trying to recoup stolen money to save a circus that would fold without the money. 1940's Go West sends the brothers to the American frontier. They get involved in land disputes and a train chase. 1941's The Big Store is set in a department store. The brothers stop a murder while delivering musical mayhem. 1946's A Night in Casablanca takes place in post-war Casablanca, where the brothers foil a Nazi treasure plot while running a hotel. And 1949's Love Happy sees the brothers help a struggling theatrical troupe escape criminals in their final movie together. Although Groucho was the only one mentioned by name in some of those summaries, all of the brothers were involved. Following the trajectory of their releases, you can see things slowed over time. By 1949, they had largely retired from filmmaking. The vaudeville style of comedy was already on the decline by then, which was their signature. Sadly, the brothers also had less interest in working so closely together on large-scale projects. There was also financial stress and a desire from all members to pursue individual projects. Groucho wanted to move into TV. Harpo and Chico each wanted solo careers of their own. The early days saw the Marx Brothers working with Paramount Pictures. By the mid-1930s, they switched to MGM. MGM brought the quality of their movies way up. They delivered some of their most polished and successful works. The films of the Marx Brothers have stood the test of time because of their innovations in filmmaking, performances, and their comedic brilliance. Each movie they made together was a testament to their ability to innovate, push boundaries, and combine comedic styles of slapstick, wit, one-liners, insults, and social commentary. The influence of the brothers has extended well beyond their era. Clearly, we're talking about it right now. They revolutionized comedy by doing the physical with hard-hitting dialogue. They've inspired generations of comedians in every discipline, as well as filmmakers such as Mel Brooks and Woody Allen. Their movies are still relevant today, as their critiques of societal norms, human behavior, and figures of authority are timeless. The list that got me to finally watch some of their movies, shamefully late for someone who considered themselves a fan of film, is the American Film Institute's list of 100 best movies of all time. Duck Soup and A Night at the Opera are both on the list, as well as AFI's 100 Years, 100 Laughs movies list, where they rank even higher. Duck Soup is number 5 on that one. Their work is still studied in academic settings for their role in shaping cinematic and comedic conventions that we still rely on. While their comedy always felt fresh and in the moment, a big key to their success was meticulous preparation. They did improvise on set, of course, but they had a very solid plan before getting any performance going. Even in the height of their movie success, they would often test material and bits on live audiences before polishing them up for further inclusion in the movies. The brothers' dynamic amongst one another was shaped by their distinct personalities. The rags to riches story of the Marx Brothers is a testament to their unmatched talent, drive, innovative spirit, and work ethic. The way they blended humor, music, and social commentary provides entertainment to audiences still and reshaped the comedic landscape. Their legacy endures to this day and will continue to do so going forward. I'm not making any claim to be the foremost expert on the Marx Brothers. I wanted to dive deep into them, watch their movies, I still haven't seen them all at the time of this recording, but I will soon enough, and pay them the respect they deserve. I spent hours reading, watching, listening, and researching. I hope you found this video informative and that it inspires you to watch some of their work. I put my key sources of information in the description if you want to learn more about the Marx Brothers on your own. Thanks for watching, and jump into this video next for more from us here at So Wizard Podcast.